Hi, Kelly. Welcome aboard.
Hi there, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it. My show is Gnarly Metal, 2 shows. The first is Gnarly Metal, which is a music show, and that is hard rock and heavy metal hits of the 80s every Friday night from 4 until 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then I host a show called Gnarly Metal After Hours, a rock and talk show. A little bit of rock, but also a lot of chit-chat conversation and, the chance to shoot the shit with some incredible people like yourself. You can go to Gnarly Metal After Hours on YouTube, look for Magic Mark. There's an interview I did with Mark a couple months ago that you'll definitely want to listen to. It's a great interview. Gives you a chance to know a little bit more about Mark and what goes on behind the scenes and what makes him magic.
Magic? Come on, you stop talking about me. I'm blushing right now. You're the magic one. You are why we are here. So, Miss Kelly, if you don't know her, if you haven't listened to her show, not only is she uber freaking knowledgeable on her metal and her rock, but she has got the personality that will just put you at ease. Freaking an amazing golden voice, and she is a veteran in this business. There is no better pro out there that I know than Miss Kelly Thomas. So, ma'am, while I take a moment, I'm going to bow. I'm going to say thank you for being here.
Thank you.
After you did that interview with me, I'm like, holy crap, this woman has got it going on.
Thank you.
And every time I do an interview, you are what I think of. You're like that mold that I'm trying to follow doing an interview. So.
And you do well. You do a very good job. And that's one of the things I will say about the Gnarly Gang. I refer to our owner as PD Paul, PD for program director. So it's PD Paul. And he has done a wonderful job of bringing together some exceptionally talented people to really help make Gnarly what it is today. And I'm grateful to be a part of it. And Mark, I know that you're here with us. Yeah. We also want to take a moment and I want to give a shout out to our buddy Big Len.
Yeah, Lenny.
Yep. Who does Gnarly Grooves every Sunday from 3 until 5 p.m. And he is, boy, if I say old timer Len, don't take it personally, but he has been here with Paul since the beginning. We've got some incredibly talented people here, and it brings us all great joy to be able to play some of the very best 80s music for our listeners. I really believe that there's an audience for it, and the idea of creating something that allows people to escape the chaos of their day-to-day lives, I think is so needed in today's day and age. And I'm just glad that we can do something for our community that lets people have a little slice of enjoyment throughout the course of their day.
Oh, absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. Yeah. So with that, we have so many different flavors here. We touch on and have a different background for, from so many different varied places and our loves. With Paul, you're going to get a very different flavor. With you got a hard rockin' flavor and an immense amount of knowledge. I like to keep it bumping for the most part, and I'm all over the board because I'm just a very eclectic, dropped on my head monkey. And then Len with those smooth. When you talk smooth grooves, he really has that though. His whole approach is just smooth. Yeah. Just makes you melt. He's awesome.
He does. And I think there's one thing that the 4 of us all do very well. And just for the benefit of our listeners, there is software out there that will create playlists. Each of us builds our own playlist. So we customize and we curate our own playlists, which allows that flow to take place. We take people on a musical journey. And that's part of the beauty of it, because not all radio stations have that luxury today, but we do. And that's one of the things that makes Gnarly special.
Oh, it's absolutely a beauty. I think about that every time I'm building my list, is the fact that I get to customize this to how I'm feeling or what I want to express during this show. It's incredible that way.
That's exactly right. And one of the things we also include truly and legitimately is requests. When people get in touch with us on social media, when people call the studio line, when people send us an email, we actually play your requests. And some radio stations are in the habit of not necessarily following through on their word to play requests, but we like to take care of our listeners here.
Absolutely. So since you're talking about the playlist, what do you go through to build your list? Like, what inspires you to create what you create?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm glad to share that. When I first interviewed with Paul, he wanted me to host a hard rock and heavy metal show. And I jokingly tell people I was so excited that I actually stammered. I stuttered just a little bit, which is not a good characteristic to have when you work in radio. But I was super excited about it because the hard rock and heavy metal is near and dear to my heart. It's my first love. I will say I like several different genres of music, but hard rock and heavy metal is very near and dear to my heart. So when it comes to putting a playlist together, I look back to what was going on in the 80s and I try and think of what would capture the energy of a group of friends hanging out on a Friday night or a Saturday night and tossing back a few beers and having a good time. What are you going to be listening to? And so I try and build my playlist around that. What would create the sense, the vibe, the feeling of people having a good time and just kind of forgetting all of life's bullshit for a bit and just enjoying hanging out with friends or family on a Friday or a Saturday night or any night of the week, if you're fortunate enough not to have an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job. Right. And I know that's true for some people as well, but that's a lengthy answer to your question, Mark. I just try and keep that mind when I put my playlist together.
I love it. So me, it's like it's that drive home time. It's the midday, midweek hump. Okay, we've got here. We still got so much further to go. So I like to keep it as moving as possible, just high energy the whole time. Let's just get that way together. But secretly, it's because I freaking love the music.
Right.
I'm sitting here dancing like a little child, a fat little cherub in a chair, and, moving along right along with it because it's exactly what I want to hear at this time of day in the midweek. So yeah, we very much cultivate it for, kind of what we're envisioning. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief musical break because why? We want to rock it.
Yes,
that's
we do.
Why. That's what we're here for, So real quick, tell them about you and where they can reach you.
You can hear me gnarly101.com. So if you're listening online, that's terrific. If you haven't already, please know that we have free apps. So you can download an app and take us with you wherever you go. My show is Friday night, 4 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time on gnarly101.com. You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Gnarly Metal. That's gnarly with a G. And send an email, gnarlyrequests@gmail.com. I'm always glad to take emails too.
Beautiful. I love it. And so we're going to kick this thing off with a little Queensryche. Stay tuned. Let's have some fun and turn it up. All right, you're back here with gnarly101.com.
The first time I ever heard Lizzie Borden, my husband introduced me to them. He had a cassette, I'm not kidding you, that he had since the 80s.
I love it.
He was like, oh, you got to check this out. I don't know how I managed to get through the 80s without listening to Lizzie Borden, but I was like, okay, they're going on my playlist.
I love it. They are fun. Thin Lizzy and Lizzie Borden, honestly, I would always mix up. I could never get the name straight. So just so you know, here, coming up on the next musical break, we're going Thin Lizzy too, just because I figured we got to Lizzie it up.
Perfect.
This is Miss Kelly Thomas. She does the Gnarly Metal Show on Fridays from 4 to 6, as well as Gnarly Metal After Hours on Saturdays 1 to 2 p.m. And she has been gracious enough to be my guest today. And ma'am, just so you know, I am honored. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. It's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
How in the world is your day going in the first place?
Great. I have no complaints. Summer is here, and I have a busy summer planned for sure. Gnarly Metal After Hours is probably going to be less frequent over the summer months. All of our shows are live. If I'm out of town for vacation, it's not going to happen, right? But having said that, it's always a pleasure to be here, and I always have a good time here with my guests and with my fellow coworkers from the Gnarly Gang.
Yes, ma'am. So before we took that break, we were talking about your friend Steve.
That's right.
We were talking about Queensryche, and then you got to tell me a little story about going to a concert with your husband. Here,
Yes.
why don't you take it away? Tell me about that.
Yeah. At the time that I worked at Kilo, let me see if I can remember. My friend Rock and Roll Peg, I think she was on, good Lord, 3 to 7, and then Pasco did 7 to 10, I think. And for people who are from Colorado Springs, if you listen to Kilo, he was known as Pasco the Fiasco or Pasco Fiasco. But he turned out to be a big fan of Queensryche, just as I am. And when we were working at Kilo, Queensryche had come through, and this is still when Jeff Tate was with the band, and they were up at Red Rocks. So we had the chance to take some listeners to a meet and greet to meet the members of Queensryche, which was really a thrill for me.
Beautiful.
And of course, Pasco being a fan, he was damn glad to be there as well. So that's, one of those memories. It's one of those moments you look back on, and was the first time my husband had been to a meet and greet as well.
So I don't have a significant other. And so if I go to a concert, it's going to be with a friend or a coworker or something like that.
Yeah.
And my boss at my 9 to 5 job, he has never been to a concert in his life. So we're going to a concert tomorrow night.
Nice.
And going to break him in. It's not going to be too hard. It's not going to be too crazy. It's Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. And if you like swing music, oh my Lord, they move. It'll be a high octane show. However, he's going to get broken in on some Big Bad Voodoo Daddy tomorrow night. So it's cool when you get to introduce somebody to a first concert.
Absolutely, it is.
Oh, you know what? Actually, my kids, their first concert was Gavin DeGraw.
Okay.
I got to take him. We were second row center. to see Gavin DeGraw and Matt Nathanson, if you know those guys. And Gavin DeGraw turned out to be quite big. And that was a fantastic concert, but that was their first concert.
Yeah. And it's a whole different experience, I think, when you're on the floor. Coming back to talking about my friend Steve, we had gone to see Aerosmith in concert and we had floor seats.
Okay, I'm done talking to you. Okay.
We had floor seats. And for those of you who know me, I am not very tall. I am 5'2.5" on a good day. So being on the floor and seeing a concert is definitely a very powerful and moving experience. But at the Aerosmith concert, we shuffled in and the guy standing in front of me was so tall. And we joked about the fact that I'd kind of have to stick my head around to one side or the other. And of course, eventually I changed places with my husband and it was a better show for me. I got a better view, but Pasco was standing right next to me and he nudged me. He's like, "It looks like you got Paul Bunyan standing in front of you."
We've had those experiences too. My daughter, she's 5'2".
So she knows.
Oh, we've gone to some concerts and she basically standing there going, "Are they playing?" You can't see crap, and tall people don't care. They just don't care. Yeah, you're always going to end up with that. So you got into broadcasting in college, is that right?
I did, yeah.
So what was your college experience in getting into this to start with?
Oh my gosh, I'll try and keep it short.
Like it.
I'll go for some brevity here. My freshman year in college, I had decided initially, I had another major in mind. And my first semester, my freshman year in college, I found a campus radio station. When I found the campus radio station and I walked in, I just had this sense of, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And there is just this synergy. There was something about it that really resonated with me. So freshman year, first semester, changed my major immediately to radio. And my college radio experience was the radio station called KASR, which stands for Arizona State Radio. So I'm a graduate of Arizona State University.
I'll pray for you.
Yeah. No need. I was going to say, nope. Sun Devil proud.
I love it.
Yep. But having said that, I was in college radio through my entire college experience and I learned a great deal, but I also met some fabulous people who I'm still friends with today. So it was overall, It was a really good experience. Yep.
Have you noticed with radio, with broadcasting, the connections to other people? Because, people connect with music, plain and simple.
That's right.
And so the connectivity out there is just quite strong.
Yes.
And coming out of college, I'm assuming, you forge it from the ground up. Yeah. It's got to be very much like that, if not more. Yeah,
it was a little bit of a transition to me. I'll be perfectly honest with you. When I graduated from college and then it was time to enter the real world. Yeah. And I knew that I wanted to work in radio. For people who are curious, radio is not an easy industry to get into. There was what I used to refer to as my interim positions. They were jobs that I would take knowing that my long-term goal was to get into radio. They were jobs that would help me pay the bills for the time until the opportunities opened up. So it was a little bit of a transition, but community-wise, yes, I feel like we can always connect with people and we can generally put aside our differences and we can talk about music. We can talk about our passion for it. Sometimes people are on the same page. Sometimes there's not, there are certain arguments that people have. David Lee Roth versus Sammy Hagar is one of them. People have strong opinions about it. But that being said, there's always something to connect with.
So I'm curious though. So if y'all don't know Kelly, if you haven't met her, and when I say this, don't take offense, okay?
Okay.
Like you're a contrast to me. Like when I see you and I talk to you, I think you're a big fan of like Michael Bublé or Kenny Chesney, and then you come out and you're like, yeah, you're hard rocking to Queensryche and all this other stuff. Yep. What is it about metal that draws you? Where's this come from? Because your personality doesn't show that. Where's this at?
Screaming guitars, heart-pounding bass, thumping drums. I don't know. I can't give you a specific answer, but I will say I have a friend of mine who refers to me as a closet freak. It's exactly that. It's my appearance looks different. It's not what you would expect for a diehard metalhead, but that's just as it is. I can't tell you. There's something that just hooks me. Yeah. I don't know.
It's kick-ass no matter what you want to say. It's kick-ass. It's awesome that you've got this edgier side.
Yep.
But when you just walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Kelly Thomas," you're like, "Did you bring me cookies?" And then you get on with this knowledge of metal and this love of it. I'm like, my God, where did this come from?
I can tell you from my childhood when I was younger, I mean, music was always in our house. And growing up, we actually had more radios in our home than we had TVs.
Nice.
And of course, you know, there's record players, turntables, I mean, cassette players, boom boxes, all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at a certain age, I turned the knob on the radio dial from a top 40 station to a rock station and I was hooked.
I love it. You can't argue with it. All right. Friends, we're going to go ahead and take ourselves a little bit of a musical break. You're going to get some rocking going on for you. Why? Because, well, that's what we're here for. And if you haven't noticed, because we got Miss Kelly Thomas, we're doing a hard rocking first hour.
Yeah,
we're going to keep these tunes flowing, so turn that volume up, and we're going to be right back with Miss Kelly Thomas. But in the meantime, we got the other Lizzie rolling here for you. Thin Lizzie, 3 o'clock hour from our Gnarly Metal show. Woo-hoo! Is what I'm talking about. And if you could have just seen her, she's raising the horns and everything.
Horns.
I'm telling you, she's a crazy lady. I love it. Well, unfortunately, this hour is flying way too fast, okay? So we don't get to go into too much more. I know, guys, don't you cry, but we're going to have her back. So we always talk about something 80s, and I have a thing I like to ask, okay? What is one fad or fashion or some kind of an 80s statement that you loved and wish would come back and you absolutely hate it and is so God bless it glad it's gone?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say as far as something I love and wish would come back, I was a fan of Holy Jeans. I mean, that's still present. People definitely do that today. As far as something I hated from the 80s, yeah, that's a hard one.
I mean, we did have some tacky stuff in the 80s.
Oh,
you know?
sure. Yeah. On a personal note, it would be my hairspray habit that I had in the 80s. I probably overdid it.
You go.
Big hair was important, but so is the ozone layer. So I don't know.
I'm so glad Aquanet is gone and not a thing of today. You know, where the hair is up so high that you could literally play catch with the web of your hair. Now, I'm so glad that is gone. That was one of my big things I just couldn't stand. There were these twins in high school. I still picture them today. They were identical twins with identical hair. It was 4 foot high. I swear to God, Aquanetted in there. And that look never changed all through high school. I'm like, I'm just glad that that's not here today. So that and the overuse of pink. Pink was a little overused and a little everywhere. It was all bubble gum. But that's, that's me. So you have talked about your cassette tapes and your music before. What is something you still adore today that you got in the 80s, music-wise, and still have? What is it?
Oh, there's a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see. Vinyl, for sure, because at the time, I had a turntable and I had a boombox. But I just had a preference for vinyl. And even before the new excitement, level of passion that people have for vinyl, even before that existed, I saved all of my records from when I was in the 80s. So there are some of them that need some TLC, but there are others that I have that I still play on a regular basis, cassettes the same way.
Do you have a favorite?
God, that's a hard one. Yeah. In terms of cassettes, I think my favorite cassette is probably Scorpions Blackout.
Nice.
And in terms of vinyl, it's Rush Exit Stage Left.
Oh my God, you've got good taste.
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh, I like it. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. Kelly, you've been a true and honest pleasure. Like I said, I try to learn from you. You're a pro in this place, and I think everybody looks up to you in that respect. So
thank you.
You're a treat.
That.
Why don't you tell the listeners all about you, your show, how they can find you, and when?
So for all of you metalheads out there, my show is Gnarly Metal. It's on gnarly101.com. You can listen on Fridays from 4 until 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then I do another show called Gnarly Metal After Hours. And that show's done select Saturdays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. You can see previous shows from Gnarly Metal After Hours. I put videos to the interviews. You can find that on YouTube, Gnarly Metal After Hours. Social media contacts, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Gnarly Metal, and that's Gnarly with a G.
Awesome. And by the way, check out the YouTubes. So when she sent me the video of that she put together with our interview that we did a few months back, I was blown away. Like the level of professionalism in this, I was just absolutely stunned. I thought I was just going to get my voice talking back at me. No, full production value, an absolute pro. And she puts that kind of care into the interview itself, much less that after the fact content. So definitely check out Kelly Thomas Music. God bless it, pray. We love her. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that first hour is wrapping up for us, but don't go anywhere. We've got another hour to go, and I promise you this is going to be a moving hour of music. You are listening to gnarly101.com. This is Magic Mark, driving with your eyes closed with Miss Kelly Thomas. And let's get a little bumping scorpions for you to wrap this thing up. What do you say? Let's take it away, baby.
Woohoo!